morning. It's the main event. I'm your humble host, Stephen McCollum, coming in on this Friday. And there's only one man that would get me in on a Friday when I'm usually off here in the summer months, and that would be Uncle Lou here as well. Of course, you can catch him gamblu.com, VSIN Network as well. Lou, how was your vacation, first of all? You look like you had fun.
I went to Kansas City for a few days to visit my mom with some friends. It was a wonderful time. I really like Kansas City. If there was no winter there, I'd probably be there. But I also want to say thanks for having me, especially remote with all the travel and such, especially it being July. That's great. And I also have one last thing to say. This is a first
Yep.
ever in the 15 years of Gamblu that I have appeared on any kind of communication or podcast network without a collared shirt. I was just running around with so much to do. I completely forgot. In the break that we take, you'll see there'll be a switcheroo.
It's funny. I noticed that. I didn't know it was the first time, but I was like, Lou's dumbing it down
Ever.
a little bit today. Hey, it's Friday. You just
First,
got off vacation. You're gracious enough to move your date to Friday with us as well. So we appreciate that because obviously big fight coming up this weekend.
oh,
Everybody's going to have
baby.
eyes on it in Vegas. So we appreciate it very much. And have the weigh-ins actually happened yet? Or they're going on now, right?
Yeah, they're going on now. And so for part of this thing, you'll see me looking up and looking around
Hey,
because I'm keeping a half an eye on it.
well, yeah, because I listened to your sneak teep pod, and we'll do your intro in a second. But I listened to your sneak teep this week, and I read your blog on gamblu.com as well, and we'll introduce that stuff in a second. But you're made a lot of stink there about Conor McGregor's weigh-in this morning as well. So I know you're paying attention to that a lot coming up as this is happening.
Well, the way I handicap Steve, I feel as though it would be irresponsible of me to make rash decisions before I see what happens on that scale, especially when you understand what my concerns are. And to me, they're very legit. Now, in 20 minutes, if McGregor steps on the scale, second guy, weighs 169 and three quarters and looks crazy, then the droves will be rolling to bet him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be concerned for Max because that's how he has his most competitive fight. But we'll have to see what happens here. I think there could be a late snafu where McGregor misses. He comes in late at 173. Now Max has to compromise by letting McGregor have the benefit of not having to cut that last weight. And all that makes up for tangible betting angles, at least by the way I'm looking at it as well. The line movement has been coming to Connor, and we haven't even seen the Connor guys come in to bet yet.
Yeah, the
I can
Irish
tell you
guys, right?
this:
Yeah,
the McGregor flow, the
yeah.
Irish blokes, that tsunami comes right before the fight goes. So, and the fights are tomorrow. So here's Max stepping on first. Like, no problem. He's a pro. But in any case, we'll just have to see how this whole thing goes through the weigh-ins. I just don't trust McGregor, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. You know what? I don't blame you, especially with how I'm going to say erratic he's been on it. I'm a big fan of if your personal life's chaos, your personal life's erratic, you live it a certain way. I believe it goes into your professional life as well. So I agree with you on the trust there. I'm even half believing that tomorrow night we're gonna all log into this fight and watch it, and at some point during the lower cards, we're gonna find out McGregor's not there or did something. Like I'm just waiting for something like that to happen because I also just don't trust the guy here. Just to me feels like a money grab. But we'll talk that fight coming up here in a little, and it's a personal feeling I have. He's done nothing to tell me that other than just me observing his life and the way he lives. So we'll talk that fight coming up. But Lou, since this is a big fight this weekend, tell everybody where they can find you. Of course, Sneak Teep comes out on Monday. You're going to do your About Business today as well. So tell everybody where they can find it, your blog, all of the good stuff, where they can locate you.
Yeah, I'm an opinion maker on certain sporting events, and I do it I gamble to try and derive profit from those events, and so I put a lot of study into each. I've been doing this for a really long time, several decades, and I now have a web page presence for the last 10 or 15 years, which is really great because that's where you can go to find everything about me. And it's easy because there's a band on the top of the web page where you can find out the few sports that I work, what my records have been the last few years, etc. The front page daily blog usually is a UFC column that is distributed weekly through the VSIN network. But I also, as we get to NFL here, and I'm down to my last two teams of study, there'll be much more NFL fodder in the blogs as we approach NFL season as well. So, scrolling down, the last thing I missed is that I do 2 podcasts a week devoted to UFC. If you're interested in the UFC, these podcasts may not be for you. If you're a gambler in the UFC, like some 250 people are each week that tune into the Sneak Teep, that talks about uh, opening lines and where the lines are going. The later in the week podcast about business, which will break in a couple 2 or 3 hours. That podcast is all my final releases for each week's um, fight card, and it'll be a big podcast for this week because I have every bit of 3 or 4 rounds of releases.
Absolutely, and I mean, but even then, I just want to emphasize because, I don't gamble like you do out there. I do some fun bets and just have some fun with it on a Saturday. That's my style. But your sneak teep helps me talk to people, like especially when I talk to people. Like there's a UFC party this week that I might be going to, and I was talking to them. Now I'm loaded with information about the fights to look smart while I'm sitting there talking to them. So that helps me out too, Lou. So don't sell yourself short that it's just a gambling snake teep.
Well, that
Your
means you're
info
tied
helps
to
me
my
out.
results, and sometimes they're real good, sometimes they're okay, and sometimes they stink up the joint. So, welcome along for the ride.
Yeah, well, I mean, your Paddy Pimbit fight, which we'll talk about here coming up. I'm not giving him a chance in that fight until I heard your sneak teep, and I'm like, maybe I'm discounting him a little bit, and you made me think a little bit. So I just wanted to say, don't. I know you were doing a gambling segment now and all that, and that's what you do. But I don't want you to sell yourself short for people that just want the info to be able to talk to, you know, you're a girl out there and some cute guys into the UFC, and you want to learn about it a little bit to talk to them. This is the place you go right here as well.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. I appreciate it. What I will say is, what you'll get from me, a guy that's in his 60s and been around the game for 50 years, which means early boxing. This is Angelo Marina. Oh, bing bang. This is Angelo Marina, which was Angelo Dundee, the trainer to
Oh,
Muhammad Ali.
mhm.
This dude was my hero when I was in diapers, and so I read his books, and his vernacular, the way those boxing and fight guys back in the '60s and '70s talked totally turned me on. And so when you listen to me break down fights, I try and fold in as much of that understanding and vocabulary as I can. It may not be for everybody, but to me, it's me kind of holding the bridge from that group to this group. And it's a diverse group.
Yeah, and you use terms that I haven't heard in a while. And this week you used something, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't heard that since I was a kid, watching the old Tyson fights and things to that effect." So it's kind of funny too. And I'm like, I gotta use that type of language, but I'm not smart enough to lose. I forgot it 5 minutes later.
I work hard to try and remember it really.
I'm like, I'm going to use that today, and now I have no idea what you said that I was impressed with. So this weekend's fights, man. No fights last week, so you went to Kansas City. I saw you going to some speakeasies, couple that I'm familiar with. Those are some nice places there. Tom's, there where you go down with the light on there. Were you able to get into there? Because it's
Uh,
small.
you mean Swordfish Dave?
Swordfish. I'm sorry, not Tom's. Yeah, Swordfish. Yeah.
Swordfish Day, yeah, because we were there at 4 in the afternoon on
Yeah.
what was
Okay.
it, Tuesday. So we would roll right in there, and my buddy kind of knows that area pretty
Yeah.
well. And that was and they don't sell beer, they don't sell soda pop, they
Old
don't
school.
sell wine, they sell highballs.
Do they?
And we got
Yeah.
highballed, and that wasn't the first place we went. Then we
Wait.
went and
Well,
saw
really
a
quick.
buddy. I mean, we just
Do,
we had a time in
Uh,
Kansas City. Let
yeah,
me
do
just
they
say
do
it
they
like
still have the big question for you? I haven't been in that area in probably 10 years now, but do they still have the no cell phone policy? Well, they allow you to text now. I heard before. but they had no cell phone policies and all that. Do they still have that stuff in there? Because
You,
it's an old school
there was no
place.
TV. There was no TV in there because I was
Yeah.
thankfully missing the Columbia game, and uh, and I didn't notice, but we
Oh.
all had our cell phones. I didn't see any
Okay,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
The
They
other
don't. If
place
you
we
if you
went
pick it
to,
up and call somebody, they're on you right away. They want it to be a quiet. It seems like what 30 people. They haven't
oh,
expanded it, have they?
30 most,
Yeah,
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 and there's a big, huge steam turbine
yeah,
sunk into the ground down there, and
yeah.
you gotta be Lewis and Clark to be able to get back there because it's way back in about 2, 3 alleys.
In
I
the
mean,
alleys,
it
yeah.
isn't lights and in Broadway. It's a hole, and you gotta go there, and that's what me and my boys, we love those joints. The other place we went to was the Peanut, and apparently, that's pretty famous in
It
Kansas
is.
City. I'd never been there.
Yeah.
We started off there, and so I don't know how we tangented into this, but
Oh,
boy, was
no,
Kansas
no.
City
I
good.
just, I mean, all week I've been like, oh, I got to talk to him about. So I haven't been there in probably 10 years or so. And I remember one time we went. They had the red light on, which meant it's full and you can't go in. And
Oh
then
yeah, that's right. They have all that kind, and then when you get there, you got to knock on the door,
yeah,
and then somebody comes. It's like Lurch. It's like who
exactly.
is it?
Yeah, it's an amazing
Land
place to
Shark.
go. There's that, and there's another place in Milwaukee. I can't remember the place there off the top of my head, but another place in Milwaukee that's similar where you're like, why are we in this back alley with all these, trucks and people with crooked noses unloading trucks and stuff like that, and you're going down this walkway, but you get in there, it's just amazing places to be. So I don't know, I saw that and I got all excited that you were there, and like you said, you missed a good Columbia game. I know you were high on them in that, and just a good defensive battle, and they just were on the wrong side of that at the end of it. So
Maybe at the end of the day, it was best I missed it. So it is what
you you
it
had
is
you had
what it
more you
is.
had more
I
fun.
had them I had them laddered. So
Yeah,
had they won that game, I would have easily, because they made to this round,
yeah.
made enough to pay for the other three bets I had
Oh,
had
yeah,
they gone beyond that.
yeah.
But be
Double
that as it may, it was
disappointment.
a great attempt. It was a 35 to 1 shot.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to hit every 35 to 1 shot, even though in my mind I believe I should. But it was fun. I still am really enjoying this World Cup thing it's just really awesome. I think it's showing America to be really great. These athletes love it.
hmm.
The fans love it. I was in the Kansas City airport. I saw all kinds of Argentinians coming
Well,
and
they're
other
they're
team
playing
going
games in Kansas City too. So yeah,
Saturday,
yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. So yeah, so you're going. I mean, just that environment compared to like here, which we were over in California and San Diego for that Argentina Cape Verde game. We were at a little Mexican place there up in La Jolla watching that game, and just the
Oh, how
crowd
nice.
lost their minds. It was such a great environment, and it's just an amazing thing to sit there with the crowd and watch. And I haven't done it here because I'm too lazy to leave my house for a game. But being over there watching that environment, I hear it's that great here. It's just been an unbelievable tournament and games all weekend here. Well, today and tomorrow, 2 games tomorrow as well, including Argentina coming up as well. Robert says the sneak team makes us all look smart. So Robert agrees with me.
Well, thanks, Robert. I'll say this: it hangs over me because just when we get done with the fights, it's Sunday. I go to church, and I know that uh, when I come home, sometime in the afternoon, I got to get that done.
Yeah.
And I'm not the guy that procrastinates. It'll bother me if
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I can't wait till 4 to do it. I can't do it. So I just tell them to let me go, lock myself in. But there's an hour of research there. I got to track
Yeah.
my opening lines, which I already have. Then I got to update the lines, and it takes some time. But what it also does, it's brilliant preparation for me. I never, before I did the sneak deep, I basically did this same stuff. It's just now on a microphone.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like people don't see, and I'll give you some prep here and kind of talk about it. People don't see the prep behind the scenes. People think we just show up, sit down behind a microphone. Even when you go on these VSIN shows, which is all about gambling and specific. I mean, there's a lot of preparation going into those shows and everything to go on there and do that stuff. So, first of all, we appreciate everybody joining us. You're here on a Friday this week because of the vacations and everything. And we've been doing it for a couple months now, but we haven't really advertised it with you on Lou. So I also want to make people aware We're live on YouTube. When we do these segments with you, normally on Thursdays, 8 to
Oh, neat.
10. Now, today, we're live on YouTube as well. So, for those of you that want to watch Lou live or on demand, TME Media AZ is the YouTube channel that you can catch us live as well. So, I want to get that. And then, of course, it's on demand on the podcast systems and everything afterwards as well, Lou. So, I want to make sure we promote that and tell people about it today. Because one thing I do get is a lot of people say, I can't listen on Thursdays. When he's coming on. So now you can watch us on YouTube there, folks, live as well. So, but Lou, UFC this weekend, 329. Last time Conor McGregor fight was like UFC 260 something. I don't even remember the number. It's been a long time as well. So
That
go ahead.
the last time he fought was in 2021. It was July.
He fought twice that year, by the way. Yeah.
I had a press pass and was auditioning for ESPN during that fight. I was on with Brett Akamoto a couple
Oh,
times, and some of the others. It was great, and I was in the suite. I got to talk to Bisping, Dom Cruz, and everything. It was really a great experience. Obviously, I didn't make the cut for ESPN, which was somewhat disappointing, but it doesn't really bother me because I'm not doing this to be famous or
yeah.
get on ESPN. I'm doing it because I love the game. That's why the podcast about business comes out after these weigh-ins. If I was after hits, it'd come out Tuesday with all these other dudes that have an hour-long podcast.
Yeah.
That's another one we could talk about. But I'm not after hits. I'm just trying to share my bets with people, and you
Yeah.
can see sometimes I do great. Sometimes I kiss my sister and tie, and sometimes I get my brains beat out. But I'm at it every week. I love it, and usually at the end of the year, there's a plus uh, number next to our
Yeah.
units.
And I know in your sneak peek, I was trying to find it really quick here while you were talking. Favorites are 170 and something this year. Do you have that updated number by chance in front of you? I know I'm putting you on the spot here with that.
176, 73, and 7 or 69%.
Yeah, so 69% is what we're looking at so far this year. And I'm paying attention to that number because obviously going from ESPN Plus over to Paramount Plus, to see, because they're trying to make these fights a little bit more exciting on Paramount. I think so. I'm paying attention to that favorite number because favorites winning all the time isn't necessarily the best thing if you want, ratings,
Well,
you
not
want
if you're
some
playing
upsets.
underdogs, it
Yeah,
isn't. And especially, I've been tracking this for years, and it's usually 63%,
yeah,
63.4%, 62.8%. So it's running high. But you never know. It's like, okay, I'm going to get on the board. Screw this. I'm just taking favorites. And then, of course, the dogs will go 6-4. So you can't outthink yourself. I think if you're a young gambler getting into it, number one, do your own work. You do your own studying. Number two, don't listen to too many people that
yeah.
sound like experts and have all the vocabulary. Lose your own money, and by that I mean do your own work, think your own stuff, and if you lose, back off. Don't double down. Mistake number one:
Hmm.
back off if you're losing. And the best thing you can say is, "Man, I knew Max Holloway was going to win that fight. I should have bet more." If after every bet you make, new gambler, you say I should have bet more, you're on the fast track, baby, and you're going to have a Conor McGregor ascent in this business. So that's your adage. I
Yeah,
wish I would have bet more because that means you won the bet. Okay,
absolutely.
it's all about winning and losing. Also, 60%, 65%, 70%. No, don't think you can do that. You got to know where your barometers are in money line sports or in sports like football where there's juice, and you got to be 53% or
Yeah.
better roughly in order to earn money. So there's a lot to learn, but trust yourself and do your own work. Don't listen to too many experts.
I was talking to somebody that said they listened to a guy on just regular sports gambling, and he's like, the guy's at 80, 89 or 87% win rate. And I go, no, he's not. I go, if he's at that
That's
level,
right.
he's taking like high level favorites. Like, I can take this kid that's fighting this weekend at a minus 2,000 and bet him once and go, I win 100% this weekend because he's just a huge favorite. Like, there's ways to manipulate those numbers. So I was trying to explain it to him, and I wasn't knocking the guy that he listens to and stuff like that. But I was like, just look closer into that. Is all I'm going to suggest to you because he's not betting that number. There's gimmicks involved, or unfairness involved to get to that number as well, to get that high consistently that high as well. So I don't know, and I've learned that from those conversations we've had over time, Lou, on the show. So it's always good and educational, as Robert said as well. So hey, this weekend, UFC starts early here, 2 o'clock from Las Vegas this weekend. Early prelims coming up. I'm going to leave it to you on the early prelims, Lou. I know there's a women's fight you talked about that's pretty much a pick 'em right now. There's a couple other fights on here I know you said to pay attention to, Gandra, Reese. I'm going to leave the early prelim fights here to you to tell us which ones we should be watching here early in this fight, because it starts at 2 p.m. on Saturday for people that can get to it. What should they make sure they get to their TV for?
Well, what I'd really like to be able to do here a little bit is just
Okay.
go through every one. This is a
Okay.
pretty important card, and uh, if the fight doesn't stand up, I won't spend much time on it. So I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
start
No,
with
lead us.
the late replacement of John Garza, who fights Farid Bashrat. Bashrat was supposed to fight someone else. They found another replacement. That guy couldn't fight. Garza steps in. I don't know hardly anything about him except he fights at 125. He's taking a fight on short notice to get the UFC exposure and do a favor for them at 135. So Bashrat's going to have a full camp. This kid, who knows, he's probably eating pizza and drinking beer when they called him. So I don't even know the numbers on it. We'll pass through that one. However, the next fight, which was originally the first fight, Cody Durden against Alejandro Costa, that should be a barn burner. This Durden has endeared himself to the UFC because he takes any fight anytime against anyone. And in this fight, he also had another guy that he was supposed to fight. And that fight fell through, and in steps Alejandro Costa. Costa is a guy that fights with Diego Ferreira, and he's a gym mate of his. He's 30, going to be shorter, more compact, way more powerful, and he's a pretty sizable favorite right now. I'm not looking at that board, but he's 250, 260,
250. Mm-hmm.
250 favorite. Yeah,
Actually,
and
I'm sorry. DraftKings now has him at 230. So that's moved since I looked at it last night, even. Yeah. So 230 is
yeah,
what he is.
Durden's no slouch. He took on this guy Philo in his last fight, and Philo been mowing guys down. Durden beat him as a plus 475. Durden's scrappy, has wrestling. He's wildly inconsistent. I would say that if there's a bet here, it's Durden or pass for peanuts, and don't miss the fight. That's going to be a good fight. Then you go next to 85 pounds, Reese and Gandra. I don't know a lot about Gandra. He fought a guy here at the lab, McVeigh, and he beat him. But McVeigh is learning a lot, and he is still in development. So I'm not going to give him a huge amount of credit. McVeigh also fought Reese, and Reese beat McVeigh. So two guys both beat McVeigh, going to face off against each other. Should be interesting. Not really a fight I'm willing to bet or look at. Next fight, going to 185 pounds again. These guys are middleweights, so big guys with some power and capability. This Pinas from Aruba, I don't know a lot about him. 23 years old, 6'1". I know from his record he's got a lot of power. He's a KO guy, and he comes in against this guy Cesar Almeida, now 38 years old. 15-year difference here. That's pretty huge. But Cesar Almeida, no slouch. He beat Alex Pereira Potan years ago in kickboxing. The guy's world class. He's short, he's compact, and these guys are about the same size, shape, everything else except for the youth. This fight opened at Pinas minus 265. Now he's minus 210.
258 on DraftKings.
So he's 258. Okay, good. And the takeback Almeida then is still plus 2.25 or
Plus
so.
210.
So you're
Yeah,
still
plus
getting
210.
over 2-1 on Almeida. I hesitate to take the older guy straight up, but I'm not afraid to take the older guy via inside the distance, meaning any finish. At that point in time, he's a plus 360. And so rather than just have him try and win the fight at +2 whatever. I think I'm gonna go all the way and see if he can't get lucky and clobber this penis with a spinning kick or something, take him inside the distance. Again, this is not a full unit bet. It'll be a small bet because you don't have to put down a lot to win a full unit when a guy's plus 350.
Yeah, the over under and the rounds on this. I'm always interested in these overs. The number's 1.5 over under, -120 to the over, -110 to the under. Is that because of the age difference, or is there a fighting difference here that gives them kind of the unknown if this is going to be quick or not?
Yeah, it's because they've been match made to have somebody be violent and hit the other. They're both strikers. They're
Okay,
both going to stand in there and bang. And the 1.5, I think I tend to like the over a little bit, but more, I don't play a lot of totals. You'll know that. In
mhm,
fact, as I do this rundown, stop me and make sure you mention those totals for everybody.
perfect.
I don't play a lot of totals. I will play round props. Um, I do have I do have a wager that I made earlier that involves the main event won't start round five, and we'll get to that.
Won't
Uh,
start round five.
will not. And so there's
Okay.
all kinds of derivative bets on DraftKings, and that's what you're going to get in the Bout Business podcast on Fridays. You're going to get specific ways to bet these to try and get your 1 unit or your half unit. If we bet a unit, we're going to try and win more than a unit. I don't bet one to win 90. I rarely do it. And consequently, that's what my but why my record is 30 and 56. They're like, God, Uncle Lou, you stink 30 and 56. Well, 30
But
and 56 is a little over 50%. And I play primarily dogs, and we already know that dogs are only hitting a 31 or 32%. So I'm really not doing bad. I just have to get to about 55 or 56% on my hits. And when I do that, the profits will make up for themselves. Again, I've been doing this a long time, so I
mhm,
know what I have to do. Currently, by the way, I'm down 7 units. I just want everyone to know down 7 units on the year. And so we got some work to do. So now back to fighting. That covers Almeida and Pinas. And
we
so now we go to the women's pillow fight,
really
unless you
quick.
got
I
something to
I
say,
have
Steve.
listed a. Oh, is that Garza fight the one that was added? Correct. John Garza
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Basharat?
we skipped
Oh,
over that
okay.
one, right?
I just wanted to make sure we didn't just do it, but, if you don't wanna talk that, no biggie, but yeah, this women's fight, that's a pick 'em.
Well, the Garza fight,
Oh,
we did talk. It's he
yeah.
fights Bashrat,
Yeah, it was the
so that
first one.
we
Yeah, no,
opened with
they
that.
have it listed higher up on my sheet, and that's why I wanted to just make sure, we had covered that there as well, but the Tracy Cortez Wayne Kong fight, Luke, tell us about this one because this one over under 2.5 -280 to the over, so it's telling us decisions coming in a women's fight here as well, but in terms of these fighters there, it's a pick 'em fight.
Yeah, it's honestly started with Cortez minus 170. Now it's a pick'em, so the money's coming in on everybody weighing Chung tonight, and I can see it, but I don't think she's mean enough or big enough or strong enough for Cortez. In my humble opinion, they're both 5'5". Kong might be a touch larger. I tend to think. First of all, you always hear me say it's time to go make a sandwich when the girls come out. This is no different. You mentioned the total. It's
Yeah.
gonna go over unless lightning strikes. And with that in mind, I think Cortez has the ability to win a really close fight, and Cortez on DraftKings via majority decision or split decision. If Cortez wipes the floor with her and wins 29-28 on all three cards, this bet won't hit. But if it's one judge says 29-28 Kong and the other girl gets two judges or vice versa, then we have a winner. And so Cortez by any split or majority decision plus 550. Again,
Mm.
not a full unit bet, but they're telling us it's going over. Let's try and strike a little lightning with that split or majority decision there.
Yeah, and a smaller bet you said on that just to try to hit that. from that
Bro, you only
perspective.
have to bet. You only have to if you're betting a
Yeah.
hundred a unit. You only have to bet
What,
$25 to win your unit plus.
would you say it
I
was
mean,
plus what?
we're
Five
not
what?
trying to break the bank here.
Abs-
We go a unit at a time. That's why I can have a record like I am. I'm only down 7 units. I can make 7 units on a card, and
mhm.
I might on this one. I just don't know. I sure wish I did because then I would make more than seven.
Well, that's the you'd make a lot more if you knew, right? The
Yeah,
prelim started. The early prelim started 2 o'clock. That last fight is scheduled at 3:45, just to give everybody some timings, and then we get, of course, the main should be the regular
yeah, but
undercard
we're
here.
for
No, oh,
we still have fights on. Oh, you're looking at
yeah, no,
early
I
prelims,
misspoke.
prelims.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke.
Okay,
I try to catch myself. Way to listen,
I
Lou.
was
At
going to
least
say
somebody's
there's
paying
four or
attention
five more
here.
fights here on the
Yeah,
undercard, and you
the
got plenty of
prelim
time.
fights here as well. I know I said the main, and I screwed it all up. Good call, Lou. The prelim fights here is what we got coming up. They start at about 4 o'clock our time here as well. And the first one I got showing up here is Luke Riley and Kai Kamaka the third, United States England fighters battling this out here in this first one.
Yeah, Riley's real. The UFC likes him. He's got power and talent. He's got some magnetism. That's why he's here. They bring him in, and he travels from England. But understand, Kai Kamaka, this is his second stint back in the UFC, and he lost his first fight in this second stint. He's focused. He trains at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas. Where's this fight card? In Las Vegas. Kai Kamaka going home, sleep in his own bed before and after this fight. And Riley has to do all the travel. All that being said, don't let it fool you. Riley is up for this. Can he knock him out? I'm not sure because these Hawaiians have granite heads, and Kamaka is a Hawaiian. I don't know if Riley can get him out of there. Look out! But I look for Riley to win this fight. He's a heavy favorite.
Yeah.
Maybe you use him in a parlay somewhere. In fact, here's what I did with Riley. I used him on the points handicap. If you look at DraftKings, -3.5 brings his price down to -1.25. And I used that as the first leg. And so all he has to do is win the fight. And if he wins the fight via decision, it should be a pretty heavy decision. If it's split, I'm going to lose because I'm given the three and a
Yeah,
half
three and a
points.
half.
But
Yeah.
it takes him from a -3 something to a -125.
Well,
That's my kind
minus
of
two
appetite.
sixty five right now for Riley. Then it's -120 on DraftKings for the points.
Yeah,
So
so it
minus three
drops
and a
his
half. Yeah.
the price great. You just got to have him finish Kamaka or win decisively, and I think he can. And then I'm teaming that into the main event starts round five. No, that's a -310. There, a full unit on that bet returns 1.38 units. And that's how I'm going to use Riley. So you see what I do. I'm looking at a guy that's -265. He actually opened at 400. So there's money coming in on Kamaka, rightfully so. And huge dogs like that, the early money jumps on some of that.
Yeah, the over.
Uh,
Well, really
but
quick, the
I'm
over
trying to
under on this fight's 2.5 -210 to the over. So Vegas is saying as well, decision is probably coming in this fight. So
No, the market is telling
oh,
you that there's enough over money so that has to be 2.5. Vegas doesn't tell us
okay,
anything when they set a line.
yeah,
They set a line and they want the market to move the line so that it's equitable for both
hmm
sides. So, uh, I, I mean, sometimes I say the bookmakers are telling me, but what I mean by that is the market's
yeah.
telling me.
And I use the phrase term, but we're yeah the market the way they're betting it is telling you they're
All
looking
good,
at that going to
all
the
good.
over. So. Don't always go off of what I say, Lou. I'm not the guy with the
No, you're
technology
no,
stuff
hey,
here.
you're good. You're good. You've in the couple of years you've gone from not knowing one thing about it to being actually pretty astute
Yeah.
eye.
We should go back and play one of the first shows and like cut it up and watch me go, "What's this mean?"
Well, I'd say the only thing you still struggle at is
I-
what everybody except John Anik struggles
yeah.
at, and that's pronunciation.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, not
Well,
everybody can pronounce these
no.
names.
And it's funny
And
too.
even Anik,
Yeah.
Anik listens to the dude pronounce his
Yeah.
last name,
Yeah.
and then he listens to it
Yeah.
over and over again so he can do it because he
Lou,
has to.
Lou, I
You and
I
I
do
just
that.
have to get
I
close.
do that on Wednesday nights, and then I get in here and I see it typed out, and I'm like, whatever that says. It's so funny. It's when I
You and
see it
me,
written, it just goes out the window. So,
you and me both. The good news is there's not a lot of difficult ones
eh,
on this
this
card
this
for
one's
us.
kind of easy, including Cody Garbrandt, and I screwed that one up there. Garbrandt, and then Yanez here. Two United States fighters come in. Another big favorite in this one, in Yanez coming into this fight.
Yeah, Garbrandt's the former champ, but he's now Garbrandt is now 34 years old, but he's really probably 38 years old because he's been around so long. He's taken so much damage. Again, he was an ex-champ. He's trying to find it. He's still relatively athletic, strong, has some power, but he has an absolute porcelain fragile chin. If you sneeze on this guy, he's going to crumble right in front of you. And Yanez is a slick boxer. And so Yanez knows what he needs to do. Garbrandt knows what he needs to do. And that is Yanez is going to come after him and try and touch him. Garbrandt's going to try and maintain distance and keep him off with hands and kicks from afar. I don't think Garbrandt can do it for all 3 rounds. Yanez is the rightful favorite here. Do you want to take him by KO? It's the only way to bet him because then you take Yanez via finish. You can take that price that's -4, just ridiculous
Or
right now.
425 right now, yeah.
Yeah, and you can take it down if you got to bet that fight. For me, I just rather watch that one. The price is out of whack, and there's better. We aren't even to the main card yet where I
Yeah.
get active.
Exactly, that's the thing. You're talking about all this, and we're not even close to the main card yet. Gable Steveson fighting Elisha Ellison, probably pronouncing out. Two U.S. fighters, and I believe Gable's a debuter this week, right?
Yeah, he's a world class Olympic
Olympic.
gold medalist in wrestling. He'll decimate this guy on to the next fight.
Well, really quick, does it say anything that his numbers gone from 2,000 to 1,800? It's just people looking at Ellison here, but I don't know why they would be. But obviously, huge favorite going into this. It doesn't say anything. Money's moving him down a little bit, or not really.
What's currently to Stevenson's price?
Minus 1,800.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what he opened. Oh, Lou got intrigued here. It was
Oh,
2,000.
because he opened 18, but
Oh,
he
did he?
went
Okay.
way higher.
I saw him go
And
way high. Yeah.
that means some guys are throwing a little pizza money on the dog just in case. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
This is a guy gonna mop the floor with the other guy. This will not get out of the first round. Don't go make your sandwich on this one.
Yeah. Also, over under 1.5 minus 580 to the under in this fight as well. So yeah, it's a brutal one, but like you said, interesting fight with an Olympian coming in his MMA fight here as well.
Steveson trains at Jackson Winklejohn in Albuquerque, and his main training partner mentor is John Jones.
Enough said there with that respect on John Jones, of course. Last prelim fight here that I have is Nikita Krylov and Robert Whitaker battling it out here in a light heavyweight bout as the final prelim fight of the afternoon, and it'll go off about 5:45 p.m. For people scheduled to for people just watching the time here and when to tune in this weekend.
And what's your current line? Whitaker's
Whitaker
what,
is minus
-130?
125 on DraftKings. Krylov is plus 105 for him. Over under 1.5 is minus 210 to the over right now.
Yeah, Krylov opened -115. Midweek Tuesday or just earlier in the week, Krylov's plus 150 on early Whitaker money. Now the money's all coming back to Krylov, however, big, tall Russian. Second fight off a layoff. He looked good in his first fight against lesser competition. And Krylov is, I got to show my age again and put my cheaters on. Krylov is 34, Whitaker 35, but he's 3 inches taller, going to have a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's the stable man at 205. Whitaker's moving up to 205 for his first fight since fighting his career at 70 and then 185. And so He was a little undersized in his last two fights against guys that were 185ers, RDR and one other fighter who escapes me right now. And so he's going to be undersized in this division. Yeah, he may be faster and quicker. I really, there's a lot of unknown to this fight, but I understand why the money's coming to Krylov a little bit here. What I would say is I don't think this fight goes to the distance. I like to have strong opinions on fights, but sometimes I just don't have a strong opinion on every fight.
Yeah, and like you said, over is 1.5 is the number, minus 210 to the over there as well. Yeah, when you said he was undersized at 185 and he's going up to 200 now, that's alarming to me. But
And minus 210 to the over, I like that a good deal. I don't think either guy going to get the other guy out quick.
for that, yeah, and 210, and I don't know what that's moved to there. I've imagined there's been movement if the regular lines move back and forth a lot from that prelim. So that's the last prelim fight. Then we got the main card, Lou. Let's take a quick break here and everything, and come back and we'll talk this main card, which man, I'm excited about. I'm intrigued about the final fight, but I'm excited about the rest of these fights, including the first one coming up here because I love me some King Green, the way he fights out there. Talk about him and McKinney when we come back here. UFC 329 from Vegas this weekend with Uncle Lou. Welcome back to this very special, as they used to say, Friday edition of the main event. We're taking the summer off on Fridays, but this man says he needs to come in on a Friday. We come in on a Friday with Uncle Lou. And look at that wardrobe change as well. Did you just sew that shirt over the other one, or did you actually change?
Oh no, you don't wear two shirts here in Phoenix when it's $1.17, bro.
You just
I
throwing it
changed
out
it,
on the
and I
top.
just want to reiterate: first time ever. And I've been on these things 15 years
Yeah,
now.
we're doing it a
I
while.
always wear a collared shirt. Always, always, always.
Well, glad we were the first one to experience that as well out there as well. Robert did say on the YouTube chat, join in on that if you have questions or anything. Robert said ESPN's loss, going back to that conversation, is our gain. Yeah, Lou, you would have big timed us if you were on ESPN. So look how things work out.
Uh, well, I mean, the guy they hired is a good friend of John Anik. So, sometimes it just, if it was meant to be, it would be.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
it's really flattering that Robert would say that. Thank you. Those that follow me have followed me for a long time and tend to understand my style. And, I don't really know what my demographics are, but I think they have to be 35 and over, even though the UFC crowd is
Younger.
15 to 40.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
leave
don't.
all that to
We
experts.
we get all this
I just try and win
demographics of
fights.
country and where you're watching and all that, but we don't get age and things like that, on these online things. So it's that's the one thing we're missing. But I would agree with that. I tend to think people, at least people when they talk to me about you, they tend to be, 30 or plus. It's not these young kids. Young kids are still doing the old, hey, this guy charges for his picks. You got to call in and, some of those young guy. I know it's websites now and stuff like that. It seems to be that's what the young kids are. You're stupid and young sometimes, Lou. Let's just put it that way.
I don't even, I have a 25-year-old young man from ASU that is learning real estate from me right now. And the cat, he's bright as he can be. He's always on that phone, but I got no clue what those kids are doing. I mean, talk about worlds apart.
Yeah.
But I will say this, I mean, I understand what AI is gonna be and what it's becoming and what it is right now,
Mhm.
and I'm totally into it. I met a guy in the airport in Kansas City that is gonna I'm hooking up with my 25-year-old from ASU because for me, it's probably a little bit, uh, a lengthier process to instill AI into me, but not to that 25-year-old
No. Yeah.
kid, and
No.
so I'm gonna put him with this
Yeah.
consultant and get them squared away to enable us to utilize the tools available to us now. I mean, those that thought the internet was stupid were left in the dust. So, hey, adapt or get left
Lou
behind, baby.
Lou, I'm with you. I got Ethan here, 18-year-old just graduated high school, about to go off to college and everything, and I'm like, "Hey, you figure out this AI thing and how we incorporate it into what we do and stuff like that." And, he talks to me about it, I just stare at him. Like, I don't know,
No, it
just
comes
hand it to
second
me.
nature to it's like
Yeah.
breathing to the kid.
He goes,
And for you and me,
yeah.
it's like trying to recreate Oppenheimer's bomb. I can't, no way,
You're
I
right.
no.
He comes back with this big elaborate picture made by AI, and then I try to do it. I try to just do a day off image, and it's like, crooked, and the eagles like on the flag flying. I'm like, whatever. I don't know how to do this stuff. And he comes
I
out with this
really
beautiful
only I
picture.
use it for I use it for Gamblu, but it's mostly after a team has taken a 3-1 lead in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, how many teams down 2 games have gone on to
Yeah,
win? And it'll spit that out for me.
yeah.
And so I'm only scratching the surface. It's like,
You're using it
hey,
like an
you want to go use
encyclopedia. Yeah,
you want to go over there and use the internet, or you want to go over here and tie the note to a pigeon, send it over to the next county. That's what Uncle Louie doing the pigeon while there's
yeah. No, I'm with you.
internet out there.
I'm with you, man. It's a humbling thing, I like to say, when he'll show me like this big elaborate, it's just this big elaborate graphic, and I'm like, that's what I wanted. And I've spent the last 6 months trying to figure out how to get what I want, and he's back there for half an hour, and he's like, oh, is this what you want? And I'm like, thank you. First of all, thank
Well,
you. Second of all, man, this is ridiculous.
well, he's your son, and so you have an understanding over the course of years. So all you really should utilize that. Just, hey, this is what I need, and the kid
Yeah,
will crank it out, and then you say, no, this needs to be yellow, or this needs
yeah,
to be
this thing,
smaller, or
yeah.
whatever it is.
Change that he gets mad. I'm like, yeah, change that. I don't like that. I don't like that. He's like, what? I just did it.
Yeah, you gotta watch that a little. It's like it's like people that edit my articles.
Yeah.
Smart man told me you always float the boat of the editor. Even if you
Yes.
hate what they did, you tell
Yes.
them what a great job they did. You get on their right side. I did that from the beginning. It was the
Yes.
best advice this dude ever gave.
Absolutely, because they'll get more annoyed about you trying. Oh, you did all that work. Well, change your back. I don't like that. No, you don't do that stuff. But one thing we don't do here as well is we don't not get excited about these big UFC fights. Main cards coming up here 6 p.m. from T-Mobile in Las Vegas this weekend. UFC 329. Everybody's paying attention to the headliner here, but this main card starts off with King Green and Terrence McKinney in this fight. I know you're going to tell us all about it. King Green is the underdog going into this, but he just impresses me with the way he fights, his toughness out there. And so, I know McKinney, I've seen him fight, but I'm really high on King Green just from my perspective. Tell me how you feel about it, Lou.
King Green is the kind of fighter that when everyone finally believes, he'll let you down. He's had unbelievably poor losses. Patty the Batty went in there and he was going to show Patty the Batty, and he had the tools to do so, and he made a stupid move and Patty subbed him in one. So that's what can happen when you talk about Bobby Green the way you talk about him. One thing about Bobby Green is he is an OG. He's 39 now,
Mhm.
and he's really the key to Bobby Green is he realizes he's jettisoning his supply right now. He's got a couple, 2, 3 years left max. He's made it this far in the UFC by being crafty, skilled, really fast, slick. He strikes, he evades strikes well, highly athletic for a man his age, but he knows he's jettisoning his supply, which is now translating to the way he wins fights via finish as opposed to decision, which he could usually be a pitter patter guy. He's finishing guys now because he wants a shot at the BMF title and he's close to it. And now they give him McKinney because McKinney and he are going to acquiesce each other. This is a brilliant striking match. McKinney he hardly gets out of the first round. He either gets knocked out in the first or he knocks the other guy out in the first. And so he's going to come like a bull in a china shop right after Bobby Green. And Bobby Green, what he will be giving up in age, quickness, power, and speed, he will have the benefit of experience being in with much better, and that experience equates to IQ and the way that Bobby Green is athletic. If he manipulates this fight into the second round, which I believe he will do, then it's going to be fence painting time, and I think he's going to tee off on McKinney. There's a little backstory here. He and McKinney were supposed to be boys. McKinney called him some weeks ago and said, "Hey, they're trying to get me to fight you." And Bobby Green's like, "Hey, man, we're kids from the hood. We're both brothers. You don't fight your brother." Then yeah, he and McKinney got together, trained for a day, and and then they went their separate ways. Then a week later, McKinney called him again. Hey, it's the UFC and it's the Conor McGregor card, and they want me to fight you. And my manager's standing right here. And Bobby Green's like, "Hey, whoa, whoa, this is the second time now. Okay, take the fight." And now Bobby Green's all chapped, and I think that adds motivation to the
Yeah.
Bobby Green side. That's why we've seen this price go from McKinney minus 205 and Bobby Green plus 175 to its current, where Bobby Green's now only getting plus 115 or
Plus
so.
plus 110 on DraftKings. Yeah, minus 130 for McKinney now as well in this fight. Is over under, of course, not a shocker that the under 1.5 is the favorite, minus 426. That's because of McKinney, right? He does not get out of the first round on his fights. It
Yeah,
favors that.
I mean, if it's Bobby Green's fight, I gotta look at maybe fight starts round two. I don't know what that would be on DraftKings, to be honest with you, but I would have to think it would be a plus price. Uh, this Green and McKinney fight really has I mean, you can see what they're doing on these cards. They're matching two guys that are fearless strikers together with one another, and the benefit is the fans. And so guys that are wrestling are going to get discriminated against
Yeah.
because they're not going to give the fight that the organization wants. Okay, so let's go to. I'm going the wrong
Well,
way. I
really
want to
quick,
go to
to
the.
fight to start round two, yes is plus 205 for this fight
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
on
Fight to
DraftKings.
start round two. Yes, plus 205. I like me a whole lot of that bet, a whole lot. And just be prepared to be disappointed because I don't hit all of those, but I love that 2-1, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know I've seen some bad losses from Green, but also I've seen him fight in ways, and that's a good way of putting it. There, he'll let you down when you get the most put into him on that side. Plus, I'm just weary of guys that always win easy. One tough opponent where it goes a little longer than they expect. Are they prepared for it? How do they react to that? Like you said, if this goes into round two, I kind of agree with you on that. Then that turns to me a Green fight 100%. Because I'm not sure how Whitaker's or McKinney, excuse me, is going to be able to respond to that and fight it. So we'll see.
No, no one. I don't think McKinney knows. But I mean, hey, don't make no mistake about it. McKinney's been absolutely pulverized in the first round
Mhm.
before, coming right at guys. 'Cause he's an aggressive kid. I just don't think he's as skilled or savvy as Bobby Green. And I think the difference in this fight is all about the experience and how Bobby Green will apply it. We'll see.
Yeah. And we go from that lightweight bout down. We actually go down here to a flyweight bout here at T-Mobile Arena. Brandon Royval And Kavanaugh battling it here from England, United States fighters here batting it out. Kavanaugh is the favorite, 2-1 favorite, roughly at this time. I'll get the exact number for you. Actually, he's
Yes.
minus 218 right now. Kavanaugh is going into this fight.
Yeah, he opened minus 200, so not a huge amount of line move difference here. Kavanaugh has it. He's got power. He's the guy that stepped in on short notice to fight Brandon Moreno just a month or 6 weeks ago and just cleaned his clock. The kid is English fighter coming in to fight Royval. And I say that just so you understand there's travel here. And Royval is a guy that's been in the top five for a couple, 2, 3 years. And he doesn't like the fact that they're bringing this young kid in to basically come and take his space. Royval is long and gangly, a grappler, decent striking, but he's not overly powerful, nor is he got great strike defense. And Kavanaugh going to come and try and kill the body and then get to the head. Kavanaugh has good power, and as much as I like Royval, he is 33, Kavanaugh 27, so there's 6 years difference there. And while Royval will be taller and longer and a lefty, I just think Kavanaugh's able to go in there and saw him down. You see, this is a 1.5 over under, also heavily to the over
It's actually
is the
moved to two
line
and a half.
shaded.
It's moved to 2.5 on DraftKings.
And what's the total? What's the
Minus
under?
188 to the over now.
Minus 188 to the over. Okay. Probably a decision fight, big cage, small guys, but this is Kavanaugh's fight, I believe. And the reason I say that is because I've used him also on the points handicap, minus 3.5, minus 110. And I took him in a parlay with King Green at the time, plus 114. That's a 3-1 parlay. So there you have it.
There you go, folks, right there. Next up, we got Mario Bautista, MMA lab product. At least last I saw him fight. I'm assuming he's still there. Against Corey Sandhagen here in this battle as well. I'm looking forward to this fight a lot with a local kid getting into this ring against an experienced guy in Sandhagen here coming up. Sandhagen is a minus 130 favorite. Over under 2.5, minus 245 to the over as of right now on DraftKings.
Yeah, this Sandhagen open minus 200. This is a rematch from 7 years ago when Mario Bautista wasn't in the UFC, but Sandhagen lost an opponent, and he was probably a top 12 bantamweight fighter at the time, and they had nowhere to go. They go to the lab. You got anybody? Yeah, we'll throw Mario in there.
Yeah.
And Mario got his UFC debut and lost not a close decision. It was a unanimous win for Sandhagen, but he went to decision with a guy at Sandhagen was submitting everybody. So 7 years later, Sandhagen remains, and Mario Bautista's been on a torrid run, finishing many and being put in against guys they thought he'd lose to, and all he does is just keep winning. He does his talking with his fighting. He's not a loudmouth like Paddy the Baddy or Connor, but this is a fight he's been looking forward to for 7 years. It's going to be a close, competitive battle. But I think the difference is that he lost the first one. He's now at his prime, both guys 33, 34. I just think his wrestling and BJJ and strength will be the difference against Sandhagen. We saw Sandhagen 3, 4 years ago fight Aljamain Sterling, and Sterling subbed him in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Mario is as Aljamain Sterling like as Sandhagen has seen since. And I think he has I'm not calling a first round sub. I'm calling a Mario Bautista is a live dog, and the plus 115 is a good proposition. We took him last week in the second leg of a parlay. If you listen to the Bout Business podcast, at that time he was plus 135. And so we now own him 1 unit to win 2.15 units on Bautista. So those are the things we do to try and gain tremendous value on any fighter that I particularly like.
Yeah, Bautista's. It was earlier this year. Was that the Oliveira fight for Bautista? Was that his last one? You
yeah. No, Vinicius Oliveira,
yeah,
who was getting all the hype and all and Mario went in there and freaking
dominated
his rear.
Yeah. That's why I kind of woke up with him.
As you can tell, I have I have a soft spot for the lab because they've taught me everything I know.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'll give you a hint. When you see a lab fighter that I talk about like this, and I tend to use him in a fight, it means I believe in him and I think he's going to win. And when we talk about a lab fighter and then we go on to the next fight and I don't say anything, that should tell you something
Yeah,
else.
exactly. Read between the lines there as well, right? And yeah, so this will be a good fight. And then we got 2 fights left, and this next one I'm looking forward to more than I am the main card. Now, I told you at the top of the show, Saint Denis, you explained him as a killer last time he fought and going into that fight. And I was like, oh, he's going to be all right. You know, he's not as bad. And then he went in and just killed the dude, basically. Right. And so I was like, all right, time to pay attention to this guy. And then you got Paddy Pimblett, who, of course, fought, I just forgot his name, the kid from Stafford here. That's the champion. Fought on the UFC card.
Gaethje.
Gaethje, thank you. Pimblett fought him and just got his brains beat in, but stood there the whole fight and continued to fight in it, showed his toughness that wasn't sure he had there. So that's why this fight intrigues me a little bit. Pimblett can take a beating and stay in there. Saint Denis can put a beating on somebody here. I do think the favorite to me at least would be Saint Denis, but been reading up on it, listening to your Sneak Tea podcast and stuff like that, and I like your way of thinking on this as well. So tell us about this co-main event.
Well, I mean, again, do your own thinking, but listen, Benoit Saint Denis is on a tremendous run. His two flub ups were one against Moicano, where he just didn't show up for a fight, and then the other one was against Dustin Poirier. He had a staph infection and he ran out of gas. But it is his tendency to start real hot, and because of his size, he can slow down. Now he fights a guy in Pimlet. These guys have great respect for each other. You haven't seen Pimlet say a word
Yeah,
negative about Benoit. Benoit is a French paratrooper, and there's respect there. But Patty's also a really, really huge 155er that walks around at 190, and I'm
he's a
not
big
lying.
dude. Yeah,
So he cuts tremendous amount of weight. He has good grappling and wrestling, but early on, it's going to be the wrestling might and size of Benoit Saint Denis that is going to try and take Patty down and rub him out. Patty Pimlet would prefer to keep this standing early and do whatever he can do to sell this fight into the second round, because at that point in time, Patty coming off a 5 round decision to Gaethje says a lot positive to him after we just saw what Gaethje did to Tuporia.
hmm
And so Pimlet on the bounce off that Gaethje comes in with confidence, I think. He's going to be a big sized guy. If What's the total in this fight, Steve?
total. Are you talking total rounds? Sorry, I'm stalling.
The total, yeah, the
Yep,
total in the fight.
I was stalling there. Over 2.5. Under 2.5.
Oh,
Excuse me, is minus 160.
under.
Under 160. Yeah, under is minus 160. Yes, sir.
Unders minus 160. Okay, and
Two and a
I
half.
can see that. Yeah, I was going to say if it's over, it's probably more appropriately lined, and that's where it opened actually. But what I think is if it's a first round, it's going to be Saint Denis, but I just don't see him getting Patty out of there in the first round. Rather, I see this fight getting to the second round. Benoit starting to slow a little bit, and it's at that point where Patty's hands can initiate a finish and or take him to the floor when he's a little sucked out and submit him. So I like Patty, and I'm not even afraid of Patty inside the distance here a little bit. I'm not being disrespectful to Benoit Saint Denis. I'm just trying to handicap a fight to my favor. Patty plus 115 or 120 straight, I think is a great opportunity.
Yeah, plus 124 is what he's at right now on DraftKings. And that's one thing you opened my eyes to as well was Patty's a big dude in that ring. He even like towered over Gaethje, with his size, just a big, thick human. Saint Denis not that way, a paratrooper, got to be smaller in stature, jumping out of those planes and going behind enemy
Well,
lines
hey,
like he did. But
Saint
he's a
Denis
killer,
is the
so
taller man,
yeah. But I'm just talking
5'11,
body
Pimlet
size.
5'10.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, this is a lightweight bout. And I was like, wow, lightweight for Pimblett. All right. He's just a
Well,
big, stocky
yeah,
guy, so yeah.
both guys are really large for the division. I think that size is going to wear on each other. I just don't see Patty losing two in a row, and I give him a slight edge in IQ. I don't even know why I'm saying that because I am not a fan of Patty as a person, nor Connor because of
Yeah,
the flapping.
flapping, yeah,
Um, but
talking.
but I'm trying to handicap who I think is going to get their
Yeah.
hand raised in a fight here.
I think this might be the fight of the night, to be honest with you, in my eyes. It's just so evenly matched, these two guys. Like you said, if it gets into that second round, St. Denis might settle down a little bit and tire out. But Pimblett showed with his last fight that he could just take a beating and still be standing there, in that fifth round with Gaethje there and battling that side of it. And it just really impressed me from that perspective. And like I said, I think this could be the fight of the night and the fight you're most going to be looking forward to toward the end. Now, that being said, you're obviously intrigued because Conor McGregor is getting back into the ring after 5 years away, lost two fights in a row. He fought twice in 2021, lost both of them to Poirier in those fights. Second one was a medical stoppage, so injury as well. And that one was stopped there. 5 years off. He lives on $1 million lot, private, jets, like you like to say, satin sheets out there. It's just I don't know how you keep the edge on this against a guy. Interesting enough, they're going to be fighting welterweight bout is 170.
That's correct.
Last time these guys fought, they were fighting at 145.
No, well, the first time, yes,
First time
exactly.
years
But
ago.
McGregor's had fights.
Yeah,
McGregor's had fights at 170,
yeah. He
so it's not. This
McGregor's
is
gone up
this
and
is
down. I'm just saying that's how 145. So and I know a lot's changed in that time frame, but that's a big difference there. My question before we get into this fight. Holloway's frame going to be able to hold up to that 170 and for stamina wise and things like that?
that's part of the handicap.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens if and again the weigh-ins are going on now. What if Connor came out and weighed 173,
Yeah.
and now Max has to go higher? So I really need. There's a lot of unknown
Okay.
in this fight, but mostly it revolves around Connor. We know what we're getting with Max, except for the 170 part, and I don't think I'm afraid of it because who he's fought and all those guys he fought when he stepped in the cage, he was 172 anyway.
Mhm.
So we'll have to see. It's just that Connor will be 190 something
Yeah.
when he gets in there, and he's going to have the power. And Connor's been juicing to overcome the broken leg that he had, and he's juiced right up to the time where he needed to quit juicing, clean out, and then enter the UFC protocol. So he knows exactly what he's doing. He's the bigger man. He thinks he's getting everything set to his table, and meanwhile, Max just wants it. If Connor and when as soon as this bell for the first round rings, Connor's going to do this and say, "Let's stand in the middle and throw," because that's the best way for him to win, and it's also, by the way, the only way for him to win. Because if Max uses his footwork and when you understand who he's been in with, uses his length, and he forces McGregor into the second round, it's my position that Conor McGregor has 5 or 6 minutes in him in this fight. And so if I'm in Max's corner, I'm telling him to make sure we get this into the second round, make the kid work, stay at a distance, pick and pep at him. And we don't even care if we win the first round or not. We just got to get this fight to the second round. And I think that will be the tactic that Max will use. And I just think that this is a mismatch. The mind for McGregor absolutely knows what he has to do. There's no doubt in my mind that his mind knows, but his body isn't going to let him. And why do I say that? Because I've been betting on fights for 50 friggin' years, guys. And Father Time is undefeated. You're not getting off the couch after 5 years with a broken leg to fight a guy that's been this active. And oh, by the way, I've gone emotionally from running to be the president of Ireland to several issues with drugs and
Yeah.
other legal matters that have all been folded into those 5 years. This ain't a light switch that you disrespect and just decide I'm coming back. In fact, it's a very serious sport, and we're going to find out tomorrow night when Max finishes Conor McGregor because I believe that's exactly what he'll do. I'm on Max. I'm on Max inside the distance, and I'm on the fight doesn't start round 5. I don't know how much more clear I can be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, me and Dale, when Dale and I were talking about this earlier in the week, this fight, I was just telling Dale, I was like, I was equating it to Dale, for those of you that know, he retired from football. The Ravens called him late in that next season to go be a long snapper. And I was like, just that 6 months off of not getting hit as a long snapper. And he talks about how his body, his mind was like, oh, this is easy. First game, he's flubbing, snaps out there and stuff to that effect. And I don't know how you come back at this age into a ring. Like you said, his mind's like ready to go. But other thing I want to see too is Connor is used to when he hits somebody, he gets a reaction from him. And usually it's a positive reaction for Connor, meaning the other guy's hurt or shocked by the power, whatever. Um, I have a feeling in this fight, he's going to lay a punch on Max early, and Max isn't going to react to it. And I want to see how that mentally messes with Connor a little bit, where he's like, oh,
Yeah, I sure
you
hope
know,
it does. I sure hope that does not happen because
okay.
I don't know how Tapuria knocked Max
Yeah,
out.
he did. Yeah.
Connor can.
Yeah.
I do not want any flush shots on
Okay.
Max in the first
So,
round.
so you do
I
think Connor's going to
effing
have that
I
stroke?
effing do not want. I effing do not want
All
that.
right.
That I don't. If we see that, that'll be the greatest display of lack of intelligence we've ever seen. That would
Okay.
be asinine. That's what I'm saying. Connor wants to do this.
Yeah.
Max should
Okay.
do it in the fourth,
Yeah.
but Connor won't be there in the fourth.
Yeah. That's the Connor's never been one to um, be in a good enough shape for a long fight. He tires out. He's never been one to be on a treadmill and have that thing. So that's the thing. If longer this goes, especially being out of the ring, I don't care how good a shape you are in, being in
Well,
that
they
ring,
went
it's
to
going to hurt you.
decision. They went to decision the first time they fought when he was 145, but he was a drastically different kind of fighter then.
Yeah.
Then he was fast as lightning. He was so precise. The quickness and the placement of his punches is what knocked guys out, not necessarily the power, but he did have power.
Hmm.
Now you're talking about a guy that's got a bottle of proper number 12 in one hand, a bag of blow in the other, a private jet, silk sheets, and a bottle of Veuve Clicquot icing down. I'm telling you, that corrosion is too much for him to overcome. That's just my opinion.
Yep. All right. Perfect. Right now, the odds are on DraftKings. Holloway is the favorite here, minus 225 to him. But like you said, the Irish buddies are going to start flooding the money on Connor. They do on every fight as they get into Las Vegas, ready for this fight tomorrow night. Over unders 2.5 on this. I know you said not to start round 5 here, but 2.5's the number, minus 105 to the over, minus 125 to the under right now for this fight as well. And only 2.5's the number there. I'm kind of surprised it's there. I thinking maybe we'd see a 3.5, but at least DraftKings is two
No,
and a half.
they'd have gotten pounded on the under there because they know that Connor, there's that kind of unknown
Okay.
with McGregor. And quite honestly, I do expect a bunch of a tsunami of McGregor money as we get closer to fight time. But make no mistake about it, smart guys that have not bet this yet, guys in my profession are all sitting by waiting and hoping Max gets to minus 200, minus 195. If the Irish Drows pull Max's price down that far, you'll see it bounce up. And why is that? Because guys like me are going to vomit on him.
Interesting enough, you said Holloway finishing this fight. Right now, if you pick method of victory for KO, TKO, or DQ, minus 125 is his number for that right now as well. So
That's what it was when I released it earlier this week. So hey, I love it.
yeah, so it
And
hasn't
that's
changed at all.
already an indication they're getting a little McGregor money coming in now.
Yeah, and yeah. Being Friday, I don't know. I expect because all those guys are going to get on their plane and land in Vegas today and then invade Vegas tonight, getting ready for tomorrow. So possibly could start seeing it, like you said, hitting it right now and throughout the day as well. That fight's going to go off about 8:15 is when it's scheduled tomorrow night for you out there that want to see Conor McGregor get in there with all the hype that's going to come around it as well. I'm just saying, don't miss the fight before this one. I have a feeling it
Don't
might
miss
be
the
the better
fight
fight.
card. Really
Well, that
don't.
too.
There's too many really, really good
Hey,
action fights. They put action fights on this thing. And if you want to see violence, check all of them out. And when Cortez and Kong fight, go make yourself a Sammy and get yourself a cold beverage and get ready for the second part.
yeah, Lou, I'm doing something I never do. I'm blowing off a work thing to sit down and just enjoy this fight tomorrow night. That's how much I'm looking forward to it. as well. I cover the Rattlers and go out there. It's their last home game of the year. They clinched a playoff spot. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. They've already clinched a playoff spot. I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to be sitting there watching a UFC fight instead. That's how excited I am for this card as well, just as a commenter.
I couldn't be more proud.
Lou, thanks for
I
coming.
mean it.
Thanks for coming in on the Friday, of course. I know Fridays are busy for you, and then you just got off a vacation, probably adding to it as well. Finish up those weigh-ins, get your Bout Business out. Everybody tune into the Bout Business today as well out there, and we'll see you next week. We're on our normal Thursdays coming up as well. What's next week? Something big next week in the UFC world as well.
Good luck, everybody.
All right, Lou, we'll talk to you later. Have a good weekend. Everybody else, appreciate you joining us for this very special main event show here on this Friday. Of course, live on YouTube. Don't forget, every Thursday, you can catch Lou live on YouTube at 9 o'clock. We bring him into the show. For everybody, we'll be back Monday morning at 8 to 10 here live on YouTube. And, of course, free podcast systems. And on YouTube on demand and Rumble for you Rumble fans out there. It's over there as well. Real Matrix is live today at noon, or coming out today at noon again. A new episode after taking last week off. So check that out on Rumble and your free podcasting system. Enough of that nonsense. Diamondbacks DFA Pavin Smith. Everybody's celebrating out in the world today. Let's celebrate caution. We'll see you next time. See you Monday. Have a great week.